Welcome everyone to Here for the Horses. Glad you are here for the horses. We are going to have a super fun day today. I got some cool stuff to go over. So the first thing I want to go over is any comments about our homework for this week. I have one video that I'm going to show. Leanne just put up that link that we were talking about before we started for Leichman and his horse band. Is that what it was called? Horse band. So check that out if you like. But we are going to go over the homework. So how did that go for everyone? We did the back rub and the rib rub. Spine rub, back rub, rib rub. Good? Yeah, Kay, you did well. Yep, good. Any questions on it? I got one. I'm going to talk about Leanne's.
I thought I did pretty good with, yeah, that's me. Here I am. I thought I did pretty good. I haven't uploaded Kingston's rib rub yet. Yeah, the ribs. But anyway, I got a question in it. But anyway, I thought it went good. Now Ravens has disappeared from the website, the Facebook page. It says content. Ravens has disappeared. It says content not available from our Facebook group.
Oh, that's.
I think weird. It's available. I just got done watching it, so I think it was back. I think maybe you had it offline because you were commenting on it. Maybe I don't know.
Oh, but yeah, Jenny just put in the notes that it showed up on her Facebook. We'll double check by the end of this.
Yeah,
we'll probably forget because I'm going to be scrolling around.
Yeah, I did see it.
Okay, yeah, we'll figure it out.
Well, I looked as I was looking for the link for this Zoom, and it wasn't there. So maybe it's back.
Oh, okay.
Momentarily disappeared, my good girl.
Well, I've had stranger things happen. So I accidentally blocked. I was doing Marge's videos this week, and I was moving kind of fast because I was going through it, and then it was like Marge has been banned, and I was like, wait, what? And so then I had to go back, and I've never banned anyone from this group. So then I was like, well, crap, how do I unban her? So then that took me like 5 minutes to figure out how to unban her. And then she messaged me and she's like, hey, I can't get onto the group. So I just reapplied. And I was like, oh, that's good to know that if you ban someone, even if you unban them, they have to get in. So I'll try to slow down in the future. So, okay, so let's take a look at, I have one, everyone did really good on this one. So it's pretty easy. But I want to show Leanne's horse because you guys probably haven't seen it yet because I just put it up. I had thought I had put it up before I left, but I did not. So, okay. So can everyone see that? Everyone can see Leanne? Okay. I'm going to make this bigger. Okay. So does everyone see this line right here? Right here. How it's like a ridge. Okay.
Look at her nostrils.
Oh, that's me talking.
Pointy chin.
I'm like, who's talking?
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so that ridge had me puzzled. There, right there. That ridge that she's on right there. Everybody see that line? It goes up toward the wither, and then it kind of goes at an angle down the spine. Okay. That is not a muscle. There's no muscle that goes that direction. So there are muscles that go here and go up at an angle that way. And then there's a muscle here that goes up at an angle that way. And then there's an even bigger one that's like here and goes that way. But there's none that go, yeah, that was bugging me. See that? There's none that go in that direction. So I honestly was like, Leanne, I don't know what that is. And so what I ended up doing and I can tell she knows it's there, Leanne, because her hands keep going back to it like she's trying to fix it. Okay. So what I found with my handy dandy, and I just looked this up, this book. Okay, I've talked about this book. It's from the Czech Republic, I believe. So everyone can see that, right? Okay, stop share. Okay, so this book from the Czech Republic, it's expensive, it's super cool. It's all I don't want to lose my spot. It's dissections. Okay, dissections. So I said to Leanne, I think that must be a fascia sheet somewhere in there. So look what I found. Because no muscles go that direction. So look. Now this is a fat, short pony. Okay, this is not an elegant Arabian like Leanne has. Okay, but look. Okay. So that must be what that is. So if this were not a fat, short pony, this fascia line goes up toward the river and back down. Okay. So that matches that angle. And then if you look, it also kind of connects around that point of hip, which is what Leanne was also working on. So I think this is what it is. Let me see what it's called. Oh, that wasn't on this one. It's called the thoracolumbar fascia. Thoracolumbar fascia. Let's see if I can. Okay. So there you go. So that for some reason is really tight, and it does hook around that point of hip. It also goes to the hind end. Okay. So like this area here, I know you were working on Ellie. So that was tight too. So I would check out all those areas and see if you can loosen up that area. And then also possibly go to this point of hip and press up and back. Okay, because that should stretch this, right? It's going to stretch that area. Okay. So that's the thing I want you guys to remember with diagrams and sketches. They are an idea. Okay. And like, even with this is a short, probably 13 hand Shetland pony or something like that. So obviously it's going to look a little different. But, you know, you can go throughout this book and see they have draft horses, they have thoroughbreds, they have old horses, they have babies. So everything's going to look a little bit different as it goes. But that was definitely the closest that I could find that made sense. That made sense. So, I mean, this would be the muscles, right? So if you were to see muscles that match that, then that would make sense. But hers ran from here, this direction, ran down like that, and then it came this way. Okay, so there's no muscles that do that. That wouldn't be an outline of a muscle. Okay, so that's why I immediately went to a fascia plane, you know, because there's a lot of fascial sheets throughout their whole body. And I think that's what it is. So fascia work is going to be warm your hands, which you were doing, and it didn't really seem to be warming it up too much, but big, flat, warm hands, you know, circles, big circles, warm it up, push it around, push it around, push it around. See if you can get that to loosen up. Okay, does that make sense? Nancy, you got a question?
I do. I have a question.
I found that book a while back, but what I found was it's not available in print. I had to get a digital copy.
Oh, that's lame.
Yeah. And then, oh, Bunny has that line on her. Do you remember that line you're just talking about? She usually has that on her.
Yeah, so there's other lines that are also like fascia and muscle. And those are kind of like your, you know, they are twitch marks where they are able to get the flies off their body, right? Okay, so those are really common to have also. But they're different because this one on Ellie was big. It was really like these. So check this out. See,
Wow.
we've all seen those lines, haven't we? Okay. So those are a little different. I mean, they're not technically different, but they kind of are. Okay. So yeah. That's why I like this book because it kind of goes into all this crazy stuff that they don't really teach about a lot of things. Contanguous trunci muscles and the cutaneous omobrachialis. Yeah. So yeah, we've seen those. We've seen those in the summer. All right, Sarah.
Have you ever used those metal massage things for working fascia?
Yeah, the
What
fascia
about
knives.
those? Yeah.
They look awesome. I'd love to try them out. I don't have any. I was gonna buy a set and then I never did. They're not very expensive.
No, I have a
Um,
set, but I didn't know exactly how to use them.
Yeah, exactly. There's not a ton out there. You just gotta kind of explore. But yeah, that would be interesting because it's more intense, right? So that's gonna be a lot more intense. And it's really from what I can tell, that would be a great live at 5 actually to learn about that. I could interview someone. I'm gonna
Oh,
write
that
that
would
down.
be.
So I think they're called, what are they called? They're not called fascia knives because that sounds,
Got like Gasha tools or?
yeah, it has some name like that. Yeah.
Uh.
Tools. I'll just say that. Let me find somebody who does that or yeah, I'm going to find somebody who does that and then maybe I'll interview them for a live at 5. Okay.
Cool.
Because then we all learn together. I like that. Yeah. I think those are extremely useful, especially if you know you have a horse that gets tight fascia for sure. I mean, with your hands, it's a lot more work. Okay, so, oh, let's see. Carol said, I did it with Lila, recorded all the in-betweens and not the actual work. She went from trying to bite to a few releases, lots of work on her head and pecs this week. She is a little tighter from the work with Amy Skinner. Oh, she's tighter?
Well, she seems to be a little sore. I mean, she's stretching more, as we're progressing, she's stretching. And I think it's made her sore. So maybe tighter is not the right word, but she
Okay.
had some knots in her pecs.
She had what?
It felt like she had cords in her pecs.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah. Did you reach up in there and grab them?
Oh, yeah, and I live to tell the tale too.
They don't normally like it. That's why I'll normally have a hand here and I'll do it. It's very awkward. But if I know they're gonna come after me, I protect myself.
I
And
was thinking, oh, go ahead.
I never trust a handler because I don't know what's up with handlers. You know, they don't save you. They don't
Yeah.
even help you half the time. It's like, hey, don't let your horse bite me. That's why you're here. Come on now. So always look out for yourself. Don't depend on other people when it comes to that stuff.
Well, I was like, I can't wait till she sees this video because I'm being so safe and I had a hold of her halter. And then I went and looked and there was nothing there but me turning the video on and off.
Yeah. So one of my very good friends who I love, and I would go riding with her, she was notorious for, because I would ask her as we're riding, hey, can you videotape me do this? And I kid you not, I have like 4 videos of her face looking like this. How do I turn this on? How do I turn this on? Did I get it? And then I also have videos of her walking in the gravel because she'll like push the button multiple times and then start walking like she turned it off and she turned it on. So I mean like not 1 or 2 videos of her walking in the gravel, like 6. So it's wild. It's wild. Okay, that's not Mona behind you, is it? Who is that?
That's Stanley, and I have Miles on my lap.
Oh, Mona's yours, isn't it, Sarah? Yeah, Mona's Sarah's. Miles and Stanley? Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
It's Moana,
Well, I know, but it's kind of Mona,
but
isn't
it,
it?
it sounds like Mona though. She is a Mona. She
I
talks a lot.
renamed her for you because she's moaning in there. She said, "Get me out of this barn. Stop locking me up." Moana. That's a pretty name. All right, cool. Okay. So did I start recording this? Oh, yeah, it's recording. Okay, cool. So that was kind of cool to figure out through that book. There's always stuff we're trying to learn here. All right, so point of hip release. Okay, homework for this week. Are you ready? Homework for this week. You're going to have to jump a little bit. It's going to be the point of hip release. Whoops. It's going to be the point of hip release, which is fascia work. Okay. And that's going to be your hands around the point of hip. Warm it up. You will feel it kind of shift under your hands. That's when you've warmed it up. Okay. Point of hip release. And then I want you to do the glutes. So it's out of order, but I'm doing that on purpose. I should probably change the order in the clinic just because I feel like it should be boop. Okay, so we did the rib rake this week. We're doing point of hip release this week, okay? And then I want you to go down to hind end and get the glutes. Get the glutes. Okay, so this one right here. Glutes and then point of hip release. All right. Okay. Wanda's having a hard time getting in and staying in. It's probably windy there where Wanda's at.
Move.
Melinda's in the house. Hello, Melinda.
Hello. Move.
Excellent. We can hear you. That's exciting.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Oh, super. Okay.
Yeah, you're actually super clear too, so that's cool. Hopefully it
Great.
stays like that. Okay, so let's quickly go over, for those of you doing Journey Through the Horse, most of you are. So that's based on the clinic, right? Online clinic, that's how you get in there. And then I want to talk a little bit about how we have two kind of base resources for you. The first one, and this was kind of the first one that came out. Hold on, share screen. It doesn't want to. There we go. The first one that came out for you is this one called Understanding Equine Body Language. Okay, Deciphering Cues for Effective Body Work. So this is a short ebook that I wrote so that people can just start paying attention to their horses and figuring out that they are giving clues to you and cues to you all the time. Okay, so all the time your horse is talking to you in one way or another, or they're talking to their pasture mate, or they're, reacting to something in their environment and they have an opinion about it. So this ebook is something that I created right off the bat for people who need help kind of figuring out that their horse is speaking to them. So I talk a bit about them moving, right? We've talked about if they like a certain spot, they'll press into you. Some people don't catch up on that. They'll move forward or move back if they want you on a different spot. Okay. And they might want you on a different spot in two ways. One, they want you on a spot that they want you to rub. Or two, you're on a spot they don't want you to rub. So they'll just do like a little move. Okay. And we saw that this week in some of the homework. All right. So this ebook, it's about 9 pages because I try to get to the point. I don't like I'm not a poet, we'll put it that way. I don't like a lot of extra stuff. Okay, so this is understanding equine body language, deciphering cues for effective body work. I also have included in this basic massage techniques. So this would be great for a new person that maybe wants to know a little bit about it. You guys are too advanced for the basic stuff. You already know it. Half of you guys already have the clinic. So but this is great for someone who's kind of interested in getting to know a little bit more about body language and how effective it can be. Because I do tell people in this how to massage, and then I say, now what did your horse just do when you did that? Okay, and then I also talk about like, how do you even tell where the tension is? So I talk about those two things, one based off what they're saying to you, and two based off their body. Okay, so if any of you want that, I'm going to copy that and then I'll put that in the chat. Or if you just want to save it for a friend possibly that might be interested. Is there a chat? Oh, here's chat. So there's the first one. Mac and Martha are going to love this week's homework. Oh, they're all going to love it. Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, and then the second one I want to talk about, it's the same thing, but it's in video form. Okay, so this one is called what is this one called? I put deciphering equine language here, but this one is for, oh yeah, how horses communicate, learning about release, relaxation, enjoyment, and concern. So this is a 1-hour video that I break down the difference between relaxation, enjoyment, release, and then concern. So there is a difference between all of those. So relaxation is one thing, enjoyment is another. You can probably tell the difference by just watching them, right? But some people can't, some people cannot. Okay, and then the release, I really want people to understand because it funnels into all different areas of horsemanship. So if your horse is releasing when they come out of the trailer, that tells you something. Okay, if your horse is releasing after you take, or I use this common example, when you come out of the show ring or whatever you're doing, and then all of a sudden they start releasing a lot. Okay, one, you need to know it's a release. You need to know that them rubbing their head on their knee is not them wanting the bridle off, it's them releasing tension. Okay, so you need to know that. And then once you're able to identify that as, oh, that's a release of tension, you have a better story about your horse. You have a better idea of what they're going through emotionally. Okay, so release, relaxation, and enjoyment. It's always nice to know your horse is enjoying something, but just because they're enjoying it does not mean they're releasing tension. So you got to make sure that you know the difference between that. Okay, so let me copy that and I'll throw that in the chat also. So I do want people to really pay attention when they're working with their horses. You know, what are they saying? What are they saying? What are they really saying right now? Sue, I had made a comment on her post with Boone. If you all saw that, she was working on the ribs in the back and he was just like, I'm like, what is he so mad about? You know, it didn't make sense because I haven't seen him do that before. And I was talking to her today and she said, yeah, he does that in the cross ties, but she says he doesn't normally do it when he's not in the cross ties, and he wasn't in the cross ties. So neither one of us really knew, to be honest with you. Sue said that he has not been in turnout as much, and that could definitely be a factor. So what did you just learn? Okay, well, that might be a factor. Write it down. Okay, narrow some stuff down. And then, you know, Sue pays a lot of attention. So next month when he gets put into turnout again, does that go away? When does that show up? Okay, so just got to pay attention to that stuff. It's pretty cool. Okay. All right. Oh yes, Leanne. Let's talk. Oh wait, we already did it. Okay. Is there anything else we were going to talk about this week? I believe I definitely stated that we are going to do one of these weeks. We're gonna do some slow work. We're gonna do like real slow work. Like stuff I don't do a ton of because I'm more of a get in there and just work it out sort of girl. But I don't want people to neglect really soft effleurage, really slow movements, really thoughtful movements where you are focusing on your own breathing, focusing on the warmth that's happening and focusing on that. So we are going to sneak that in there somewhere and we're going to do some cool stuff. I haven't decided what we're going to do, but we may do the dorsal and ventral lines, fascia lines, planes is what they're called. Where you, like if anyone's done Masterson method, he does the bladder meridian. So they're very similar to the bladder meridian work. If anyone's done that, it is slow. You got 45 minutes of extra time to do one side of your horse. All right, great. Okay. But it's fascinating and it's lovely. That's why I don't do it a ton because I have a limited time. So I might do the dorsal and ventral lines of the horse and I will have to sketch those out for you and then have you check that. It's fun. It's fun. Or I did just see a video recently about another massage therapist who said sometimes just go out and put your hands on your horse and have no agenda and no plan of action and just see where your hands take you. So that might be, I might give two options. I might give two options. Like that's one option. The other option is just see what your hands do. Where do they go? What do they want to do? Do they want to pound? Do they want to do friction? Do they want to just stay in one spot and breathe and wait? And see what happens in that sort of session. That'd be super fun. It'd be a great experiment to do on different horses. Most of you have a lot of different horses you can work on. And you just get to explore something new with your horse. Different personalities are going to react differently. So, and not always the way you think. So you might think, well, those extroverted horses are not going to, similar to grounding, okay, are not going to want to stand there while you just do a lot of slow stuff. But sometimes it's just what they needed. I think I've told the story about the warm blood stallion I was working on named Versace. Big old beast. He's a big old boy. And I was like, I gotta get in here and get all this tension, out, da, 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 da. I start working with him and he's like not having it. He's not having it. And I was like, geez, Louise, what is going on? I've massaged him for years. I'm like, what is going on? So I go, I'm just going to slow down a lot and just do like really, I call it foo-foo-y, although that has a negative connotation, which I probably shouldn't say that, but like the real like light, I hate doing light stuff that's super low. Like I want to get in there. But I was like, I'm gonna slow it down for him because he's clearly not enjoying what I am doing. And if they're not enjoying it, you're getting less results. You're getting less results because they're not going to open those doors that we talk about with you. Okay. So I slowed everything down and the horse just like melted. And I was like, oh no, this big old stallion, 17-hand stallion wants this light stuff. Blah. I was like, okay, I'll do him at the end when I'm tired after I've worked over other 3 horses and I'll just be like, we'll both be lazy together. No, but it worked out great. It worked good. You got to figure that stuff out. So we will do that sometime. I'll slide it in. I'll figure out when to do that. Carol said I did Masterson weekend years ago. Yeah, that's what I did too. Bladder Meridian has worked super well on mild gas colic with Jazz. Otherwise, she's not interested at all. Oh, okay. So when under distress, and that is definitely distress, gas colic. She likes the Masterson method. She needed just that real special touch. Also for gas colic, the glute rub works, and then the points under the tail, right? And Masterson method teaches those points under the tail. Did you try those at all, Carol?
Yep, I did.
Did those work at all?
I think so.
Okay.
Of course, in those situations, you're like, you're in this like, low state of constant panic and
Yeah.
you're doing, I was just
Everything. You're like,
trying to stay calm and moving really, really slowly. And she, she looks for that. Cause she's gotten that a couple times, maybe 5, 6 times, not recently, knock on wood.
wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, and it was, twitchy. She's all like twitchy and uncomfortable, and it made a
Okay.
difference. And after, you're right, it's like 45 minutes, and then I got farts. I got horse farts. Yay!
Okay, yeah, we rejoice about funny things. The equestrian women. Yeah, so I have turned a horse around with the points under the tail and glute rubs for gas colic. He came out looking like Humpty Dumpty, man, and I was like, what's wrong with this horse? This is not normal. And interestingly enough, he ended up colicking about 6 days later. So I stopped the first colic and then wasn't around for the second one. So that was kind of sad. I did tell them that he was colicking and that it was relieved by the end of the session. But I think he came out just distended, just and then it was about 15 minutes into the glute rub. When I got to the glutes, he just passed gas, like not in a cute way. It was like, here it comes. It was coming out. So, and he passed gas for about 35, 40 minutes. So that's how much gas he had in his body. I'm pretty sure he was going to colic that night. And unfortunately he colicked later, and he was okay. He had to have surgery though, unfortunately. But yeah, that was scary. And looking back at it, I should have been a little more persistent, but you never know. You think I guess that's going to slide right into what we're talking about today, isn't it? Okay. Anything else on that before we start our main subject here? Okay, cool. So today, I wanted to talk about how to be an advocate for your horse. And I want to talk about like the good, bad, and the ugly. Like, when have we done it? When have we not done it? When should we have done it? What was the outcome of either? And I have 2 stories to start us off. So I'll tell you my ugly story first. And I have more than one ugly story, as I'm sure most of us do, right? I'm not going to fall back on I was a kid for this one, but I was a kid. And when you're a kid, you're at the mercy of everyone else. And you may not know that, but you are. I had a little horse, little firecracker, my little half pony, half quarter horse, best first horse ever, born on the 4th of July. Just a tough little sucker, but so good. So good. We had an ill-fitting saddle on him. I'm positive that saddle did not fit him. He just put up with a whole bunch of backyard garbage that we did because we didn't know any better, but lovely horse. We ended up giving him to, I worked at Equifriends, which is therapeutic horseback riding, for 8 years. And while I was there, I met an instructor who had a daughter with Down syndrome named Erin. And we ended up giving him to her because she loved him. I mean, he was just the best horse. And then Erin went on to jump him. So he was a little jumper. He's really short too. So I think that's funny. But great little horse. Couldn't tie him though. You couldn't tie the little sucker. And I don't know when that developed, because I know you could tie him. You couldn't tie him to the trailer. I totally forgot that, actually. So you could not tie him to the trailer. That never did get fixed, by the way. But I was hauling him and I was 12, 13 years old. So young. I had made a good friend there who was an instructor, and she had a giant warm blood horse trailer. Okay. Straight load. My horse was 14-1, little round pony horse. Okay. And he, for some reason, he always threw kind of weird stuff at us. So you couldn't tie him to a trailer, which was fine because we just didn't tie him, and it was all good. But he started laying down in her trailer. Okay, again, warm blood trailer, really big. He's very small in this trailer. So he started laying down, and she was very concerned about that when we went on this one ride, because we would ride together. And so she says, he laid down like he did. I don't know why he started doing that. Probably because of my, you know what? Looking back at it now, probably because of my dad's driving. Okay, I didn't drive. My dad kind of drove like there wasn't a horse back there. So not good. So I think he probably got banged around, then fell, and then it became a habit. Anyways, now looking back, all this stuff is crazy. But he started to lay down. So he laid down, she pulled over because it makes kind of the thing rattle. And then she came back and she said, I tied him with a chain, so he won't lay down. And I was like, you're not supposed to tie horses with chains though, like over the nose, right? And she was like, well, I can't have him laying down. And I go, fair, right? Because she had her horse in there. So I didn't know what to do. We didn't know what to do. So we pull over again about 20 minutes down the road because of a banging going on. And he had jumped into the hay bin. So he was in the hay bin, just like a little womb up there. His back foot was up into the hay bin, both of his front feet and his entire body. Now, again, little horse, big trailer. So he actually fit relatively okay, but that was one of those situations. And she came back in and I was like, what? Because I could tell by her face. And she was like, he was in the hay loft of the trailer. And I was like, what? And I go, what did you do? And she goes, well, I pushed his back hoof out so that it was just the front of him up on the hay bin. And then I untied him and he's back there now. We'll see what he does. And I thought, okay. So, I mean, I think we all know not to tie horses with chains, but when you run out of knowledge, you do stupid things. And that happened. So that was one of those situations where definitely, like, it's still stuck with me. It's like, you should have said, don't tie my horse with a chain. But you know, you just do stuff when you're in certain situations with people because one, they know more, right? In my situation, I thought she knew more. Two, she was older than me. And I was also dependent on her. If I wanted to go, she was a great, lovely person, love her to death, but she would pick me up and take me places. And that was awesome. We rode together. We had the best time, but I couldn't drive. I was like 13 or 14 years old. So, definitely. And, you know, and I didn't know any better, right? I didn't really know much either. So that was my negative situation. My positive situation, which I love, is y'all know my little Georgia Peach. When I got her, you couldn't touch her. She was feral, my little feral redhead. Did a lot of work with her. She did fantastic. I was starting to work, so her body got better, right? Still couldn't touch her legs. You run the hands down the legs and she would blow up. So started working on that. Got that all squared away. She did great, fantastic. So then I start picking her feet up. She's pretty darn good with the fronts. I get her pretty darn good with the backs. Those obviously came later. So then I'm thinking to myself, I have trimmed my own horses and been trained to do barefoot hoof care to the point where I was successful with my standard bred who had cut on the dotted line feet. Okay, and stood like an absolute gentleman. So I'm thinking to myself, I don't necessarily want to trim her myself because I feel like you need speed and skill. And I might have the bare minimum of skill, but I do not have the speed. And I want someone who's experienced and comfortable, and I don't want to mess her up. And she had one kind of smaller foot than the other. So that still messes with me to this day. So I think to myself, I had a 62-year-old old school shoer named Dan. just took forever to shoe a horse, just forever. But he was just chill, you know, just relax. But he was a big guy. He was a big man and he had, you know, very masculine energy. And I thought to myself, I don't think so. I'm sure he's quite good, but I want someone who's going to be more patient, more kind, you know, really understanding of this little fiery redhead and da 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 da. So I'm going to get a woman who does barefoot hoof care, and I'm going to have her work on my mare. So I find someone local. Yes, perfect. Okay. Call her out. I explain the situation. I'm like, listen, she doesn't really like people. I've been working on her legs. I just want this to be a good situation. If we can only get so much done, that's fine. This is kind of how it's at. We're at that point where she needs to get her feet done, but I don't really want to do it because I want it done well and a little quicker. So she goes, okay. And then she immediately goes up to my mare's face and just wants to just get up in her face. And I was like, oh, she doesn't like that. She does not like that. And I said, and so I don't know what that did to this woman, but that became her mission of, I want this stoic red mare to love me. And I was like, I've been with her for 6 months. She ain't gonna love you. It's okay. Like, just be glad if she doesn't kill you. Okay. Just be excited about that. And she just kept touching her face and kept touching her face. And I just watched my mare go. And I was like, okay, she doesn't like that. She does not like the kissy stuff. She still hates it to this day. She doesn't like that stuff. It's just her personality. So she stopped doing that. And then she went to shoe her trim. That's all I was asking. Trim her front feet. And I use a hoof jack, those green ones, right? And so I've trained her on that. So she's very good on a hoof jack. So she put her foot up on the hoof jack, and then she looped her leg around the hoof jack and Georgia's foot. So it's like she was putting it in her legs, like she is a kind of a standard in between your legs farrier. And then she also had it on the hoof jack. And I went, whoa. I go, I don't think that is a good idea. Cause it was very like there's too much restriction. Like there's too much. It's also not safe in my opinion. And she was like, well, I need it to be secure. And I was like, then one or the other is what I'm thinking. Like if it's not secure on the jack, put it between your legs. I have done that with her. And she didn't quite listen to me because I think that's how she had to do it, whatever. But she went to do it again and I went, I don't, and like in that breath, Georgia went, oh, hell no, and pulled back, sent this little gal flying across the floor, like literally Superman across my floor. And I went, oh my gosh, are you okay? At the same time, I'm thinking, I said, don't do that. Like, don't do that. So she went flying and I go, yeah, you're not going to be able to do that like that. That's too claustrophobic for this horse. And she's like, okay. So I don't remember what she ended up doing, but she did. Georgia was getting really pissed. Cause then again, she went back to her face to tell her like, it's okay. And I was like, I can't have you touching her face anymore. Cause Georgia's just getting like this. And I'm like, okay, I can't have you touching the face anymore. So then in my mind at that point in time, I'm thinking, I'm gonna have to call this. This is not gonna work out. And I promise you, she ain't getting those back feet today. So we're still on the fronts. So she does the other side. It goes much better, because she stopped touching her face, trying to make best friends with her. And she did not wrap her legs all up and everything. So that was good. So I got those two done. And then she went to go to the back feet and I was like, we're going to call it for today because Georgia's kind of maxed out at this point. This is what I said. This is a good line just in case you ever need to use it. I said, I have a lot more work to do on her. I got a lot more work to do on her, which I did. It's not going to be with her though. Okay, she was not listening to the horse or me, so. So it was funny, she goes, well, let me just try her back feet. And listen, you guys, funniest, Georgia cracks me up, not because she's funny, but because she's funny. Georgia went like this. The lady went to get her foot and Georgia went, oh, no, you don't, like across her body in the back end. And I go, yeah, no. And so she stood up and she goes, yeah, okay, we'll try. Do you want me to try again in 2 weeks? And I said, oh, no, I have much more work I need to do than 2 weeks. But I'll let you know. Funny thing is, so that's my story where I actually said, no, we're gonna stop now. And I kid you not, I trimmed Georgia's feet after that. Like from then on, except one time because I want to make sure I'm doing a good job. And she has like not super difficult feet, but kind of like a little difficult. I called my old farrier out who I was like, oh, you know, I'm sorry. I know this is going to be a difficult horse to do, but I just want to make sure that you understand, like, it has to be a good situation because I cannot have a bad situation with her. And he's like, okay. 15 minutes, man. He trimmed all the way around. Georgia loved him. No issues whatsoever. He didn't try to kiss her face one time. And I was like, perfect. He was not interested in being her friend, which was great for her because she was not interested in being his friend. He didn't try to win her over. He got each foot done quick and got out, and he was secure but not rigid. He had no anger in him, not that the woman did, but he was confident, and he just whoop 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 whoop, and Georgia loved him. So that was a great turnaround for that. But yeah, it was interesting. I could tell after when I called it for Georgia with the woman, she like looked at me and she was like, thank you. I'm not joking. She was very grateful for me calling that. Cause I actually like stepped in like a physical barrier, like, nah, we're done for today. And I know Georgia picked up on that. So it was really crazy. Crazy situation. They definitely pick up on when you are their advocate and how you are protecting them from different areas. Okay. So I've also had just a trainer when we were all standing in a group and one horse was coming over and bothering the other horse. The trainer said, go tell that other horse with your stick, because we all had sticks, we were doing groundwork. Tell that other horse to get out of your horse's space. Tell it to get out of that space. And it's funny because don't we kind of go like, well, I don't want to discipline somebody else's horse. Just like we don't want to discipline somebody else's kid. I mean, I don't mind a bit, but you know, most nice people don't, but you know, we don't want to tell someone else's horse to get out. We kind of feel like that's the owner's responsibility. Same with dogs, and it is, but you know, people are people and they think it's funny. They think it's funny that their horse wants to kissy face with your horse that doesn't want to. So you take your stick and you say, get out of my space. So those are kind of some examples that I had. And Melinda, it was funny this week. You brought something up too of a situation similar where you just shot me off 2 sentences about the jaw release. So why don't you tell us about that?
Okay, so I just got Mara in May and she's cutting horse trained. Very quiet, stoic horse. And the trainer I was working with, he's quite well known. But he was getting irritated with me in a lesson because putting the bit in, she was just clamping her mouth down. And he started yelling at me, you dig your thumb into that gum or pinch that lip, get that mouth open, get that horse bitted up. I said, no, I'm going to find a different way to do it. And he was mad because I wasn't listening to him. He doesn't believe in massage. That's another one. So I just stood up for her and I continued the training with her and him. But I always made sure I was there and worked with massaging her face. And you saw from that last video how good she is at that.
Super relaxed.
But another one And why I quit training with him, he was wanting to take her to shows and he started approaching me about numbing her tail.
Oh,
So when he's competing, she won't be flicking her tail if he's spurring her too much. And apparently that's legal in NRHA. And so that's just something to think about. They'll either ablate the nerve or cut it, but then the horse cannot. It's to get a buckle.
disgusting.
Yeah.
And thank you
And-
for explaining why they do that, because somebody was telling me that this trainer numbed the tails. And I was
Yeah.
like, who cares? Why? I mean, not who cares,
Why?
but why would they numb the tail? That makes no sense to me. But I guess that makes sense when they're
The
pissed.
judge will take points off
Yeah.
because it
Ah.
doesn't looks like the horse is resisting, but it's also so they can spur more. And I said,
Nasty.
that's when I call it, that's it, you know, so I've moved trainers since then, so.
Yeah, awesome, Melinda, thank you. So that's that's a beautiful example of just, I mean, Melinda said two sentences. I'm not gonna do that. I'll find a different way.
Mhm.
Gorgeous. You
Yeah.
know, it doesn't have to be a big thing. And what are we risking when we do that? We are risking losing someone that we're working with.
Right, and he's a really good trainer.
Well,
But-
I don't know. You know what I mean? You know?
I take that back. He is seen as a really good trainer.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
100%. It's 100%.
Yeah.
So we get to choose who gets to be around our horse and touch our horse.
My
and you made the
horse.
decision.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's gonna appreciate that. Thanks, Melinda.
Yeah.
Anybody else have a situation?
I have just a story to share that's just kind of a reminder on when somebody else is taking care of your horses. Because
Mm.
when we travel, we have to have somebody come in and take care of our horses. And years ago, I had a little Mustang who had been very abused before I got him. And he didn't trust men at all. But I could do anything with him. But over time, he became more available to my husband and to other people because he learned to trust again. But he still didn't trust strange men. And my neighbor wasn't really a strange man. He was the one who did my horse's hooves originally. And so, but I would be holding Hawk. And so he never really, I mean, Richard was a nice guy and he would do his hooves and he did a great job. But Hawk wasn't being held by him. He was being held by me. And so one time we went on vacation and he was checking in on the horses. He just lived across the road from us, so it was convenient. And I came back and Hawk had lost all of his hair under his chin, clear down under his rib cage, under his pecs. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what happened to Hawk while he's gone? And he's like, I don't know what's wrong with him. It just every day he kept losing more and more hair. And it kind of started after, and here's the story. He had a neighbor guy come down. His name was Gary Hall, good with horses. He'd been around my horses. But he had Gary come down and hold Hawk while he did Hawk's hoofs while I was gone. And evidently Hawk got disruptive, obviously because two men now are handling him. And so they kind of, I don't know what they did, but they more or less restrained him so they could get his hooves done. Well, Hawk had so much anxiety, he literally lost all of his hair. And so it's just a reminder that even though you trust people and you think they'll do a good job taking care of your horses, you never know. So, it's like, no, Richard, I know you do our horses' hooves, but when we're not here, you don't touch the horses' hooves.
Well, that's why I love my cameras, which have more so when I'm gone, I can look at my animals just because I miss them. But it's interesting seeing what's happening when I'm not home and somebody's here. I don't want to be spying on them because I'm not really here to spy on them. I just like to see my animals and how are they doing if I'm gone for a couple days or whatever. But it's been kind of a life settler for me.
Yeah, I like that idea actually. And those are so easy now and pretty cheap to set up too, so you could do that anywhere. Love that.
I wanted to
Good idea.
share another hoof care story, where I kind of, I guess, stood up for my horse, but first I didn't do it. New farrier, and I don't know. I have one horse, Waukesha, who I don't do her hooves. They're free to roam, and sometimes she has better looking hooves than anybody from self-care, running and doing whatever. And sometimes they don't look great. But every new farrier thinks they want to do Waukesha's feet. And I don't even put her in the halter when they show up. So I don't know why I let this guy, but he had done so good with the other 4 horse. Well, you know him. Sorry, Aaron, but I met him at your first clinic that I went to. And he did Strawberry so quick and easy, and Strawberry just,
Oh,
well,
I don't know
to
him.
get Waukesha. Okay. He wanted to get Waukesha so bad. It was stressful. He has his theories, and I don't know. I let him get her, and I let him, he did the first ones, but when he was going to the back ones, and he would hit the horse in the belly with the thing, and I didn't stand up for her at that time. The next time he came back, I didn't even, she started rolling. It was like she was getting ready to colic. He was working on the other horses, and she was rolling, stand up, move, roll, stand up, move, roll. And I was like,
Oh no.
and I said, no, I don't need you to do hers. I've had her for, 4 years. She's doing fine. Her feet end up looking better than anybody else's. So I stood up for her, but I didn't stand up for her the first time. And one other story is out riding. And I was new, first ride that I got Strawberry since I was here, and was with a lady who I thought I knew everything, and I was dependent on her because I didn't have a horse trailer yet.
Yeah.
But we were out riding, and he kept wanting to roll. He kept wanting to lay down. And I kept saying, from her view, because I can't see him except for, does he look okay? Is everything okay? He's just fat and lazy. And I was like, he's never done this before. And I rode him in Minnesota, so I knew. And finally I said, you know what, you can keep going, but I need to turn around and see my horse, take him back. This is no fun. He's not having fun, whatever. Well, I got off him to walk him back, and he was slathered in sweat. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why wouldn't you tell me? I mean, to me, if I said, does my horse look okay, I would have said, well, he's lathered in sweat and he's trying to lay down. Got him back to the horse trailer and took the saddle off, and he went straight to the ground, colicking right there. And so that was my first experience with colic, but never ever would go with that person on a ride ever again. And she's a well-known horsey person in this area, and it's like, nope, I won't go even on a group ride if she's there. So anyway, I learned from that real early. If something seems weird, get off your horse, check, and take care of it yourself. And then I got a horse trailer too.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all been in situations where we know, like our intuition is saying, this isn't right, something's wrong, I don't like this. And I just feel like we need to listen to that more often, for sure. And Kay just put in the messages that her session with Lexi, if you guys were able to watch that, got cut short because she was being bugged the whole time. That was a wild, it's a wild barn. It was so funny. There were like there were like chickens, dogs, and then there were like horses coming up one at a time. And then, that dog just kind of came right through. It was really weird and then went right back out.
Circling. Yeah, he was
It was-
circling the whole time.
Oh,
Yeah,
he was?
yeah.
Oh,
And
I
then
only
there was,
saw him that one time.
yeah, he was doing big circles around the whole time. And then plus
Yeah.
the barn owner came over to yak with the owner of Lexi, and I'm there trying to work with her. And then somebody
Oh, yeah.
comes over to talk with the barn owner, and they all bring their dogs. And it was like, oh, okay, this was not good timing.
Yeah, I gotcha. And it was funny because if you were to watch that video with no sound, you
Mhm.
would see when Lexi got annoyed. And it was generally when that other horse was coming over like, hey, what are you doing? How do you
Yeah.
feel? What's going on? What's she doing?
Yeah.
I kind of want that. Oh, what's this rope taste like?
he-
And
and
you could
he's-
just tell Lexi go like, shut up. I'm
Yeah.
trying to enjoy this time. And you
And
know,
they
you got that.
Yeah, they actually really like each other. He's a really sweet
Sure,
Arabian,
yeah.
but he was definitely interfaced the whole time.
Yeah, and she definitely had that look like, get out of here. So yeah, it was funny. That was cute. Nancy, do you have something?
Yeah, yeah, a couple things. We had a horse that we put in cutting horse training. And this is one of those things that we think the trainer knows better than us, you know. And we learn, if we're lucky, over the years to protect our horse. Because I've got another story about that. But this trainer had worked, and you know, he was what, 4 years old, 4 years old, worked our horse until he was dripping wet. And then he just tied him up to the arena fence, didn't cool him down. And our horse ended up getting ring bone, and we really think it's come from there where he didn't get cooled down. Anyway, we talk about that, and it's, you know, it was 20 some years ago. We still talk about it. But Bunny, I was at a horsemanship clinic with a very well-known Pirelli instructor, and had him doing something with Bunny, and he didn't realize how sensitive she was. And it was not a good deal, not at all. So, you know, years go by, I still use the guy, I love him, but he just didn't know. I mean, I'm excusing him for it. But then we were in this clinic, and, you know, he'll pick horses to do something with. And then one time he wanted to use Bunny, and I just said, no, thank you. And he just went on to the next person. He didn't even blink.
Right on.
That I could see, but I was like, no, thanks, but no.
Good.
Anyway, it's how you learn sometimes from the bad stuff.
Yeah. And you know, honestly, we've all kind of done that too, right? Where we thought, well, let me try this with some horse, and it wasn't working out. So, you know, we've all kind of made the same mistakes, and sensitive horses are no joke. They're no joke. And so if you know, and I mean, I guess that's not fair to horses that aren't considered sensitive, because it's not like they don't have the same feelings. But the sensitive horses, man, you got to be careful. And if you feel like something's off, you just got to give them, you got to stand up for them. But they'll pick up on it that you stood up for them too. So that's always cool.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Well, and if a horse sure maliciously slaps one of our horses, he's done. You know, bye. Yeah, that's only happened once to us, but we sent him down the road.
Yeah, luckily you have options, because I know a lot of people, especially nowadays, are put in a position where there are so few and far between, whether it's massage therapists, trainers you like, farriers, vets, that you just kind of like, oh, well, I mean, I can't find somebody else, so here it is. But it's a tough situation.
Well,
For
and,
sure.
you know, I've had mules. You know, my first horse was a mule. And one time the vet was working on one of my mules, and the vet tech reached up to ear the mule. You know, I said, don't you
Oh.
dare touch her ear.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's uncalled for. Don't you dare touch her ear.
Yeah. Yeah, so I had a client one time that I was working on him, and I worked on him all the time, so I knew him. and I was rubbing all over, and on his shoulder, he kept freaking out. And I was like, just the scapula rub. Okay, guys, trying to do a scapula rub on this horse. And he's just like, and I go, what is going on with, and I was talking to the assistant trainer, what is going on with his shoulder? Like what's happening? And she goes, oh, he probably is sensitive because we had to do a body clip on him, and so they twitched his shoulder. And I go, what? And I go, how do you twitch a shoulder? And so she brings out this stick with a rope on it, pulls the skin and twitches the shoulder. And I go, oh, no. We don't do that ever again with this horse.
No.
Don't do that again. There's nothing worth shaving like on his body that needs that. Don't do that. And why are we not desensitizing horses to this stuff? It's crazy. Take 5 minutes a day. Stop being crazy. That was horrible. The aftermath that I saw from that, and that happened like a week and a half earlier. He was still carrying that around in his shoulder. Wild. How long was that going to be there? Permanently? Possibly. They'll carry it around for years. Okay. Jenny says Martha got her face tied to a stall for dewormer by the previous boarding situation, all because she put her head straight up in the air. They didn't have permission to touch her. I found out it was because her halter was moved. Oh, really? You found out? You know, what horse doesn't put their head up in the air? Give me a break. That's part of the process. Yeah. Oh, that's
no,
extra
no,
betrayal when you find out that somebody did something without permission, and then you suffer the consequences from it, or the horse did in that situation. That's awful.
My horses and mules, we've got them trained. They'll
Mhm.
take that wormer. You
That's
know,
right.
they're all good about it. A
Yeah.
couple times ago, my Chance mule, the big black one, he decided he didn't want it. Well, I had used a tube that I didn't, what was like on the verge of expiring, and I shouldn't even have used it. It was all clumped. It wasn't soft. So I had to go back to using the applesauce. You know, here,
Yeah.
look, what's in here.
Yeah.
And I got him to where he was taking the wormer again. You know, but
That's
you teach him-
another example of horsemanship. You need to clip your horse. Cool. I get it. Go ahead and desensitize him to the shaver. You need to deworm him, right on. Don't just try to do it on the day you need to do it. Give me a break.
Right.
Do the applesauce in the syringe. Do the jaw release with your fingers, so they're used to your nasty old finger going in there, and then they won't even care about the dewormer.
And
So, you
play
know,
the-
this is called horsemanship.
Play the friendly game with it sometimes, where it's
Yeah.
just not gonna hurt you. And then there it is, you know.
Oh, the first time I went to deworm Georgia, because I literally will do like a walk by deworming. Like I go, oh, hey, how you doing? Grab the halter, and then I'm out. Oh, she was so mad. She was so mad that I did not ask permission. I'm not joking. The next time I went to do it, she went, and she was like, you are never coming. And I was like, okay. I apologize for the last situation where I treated you like some other horse. I should never have done that. I had to do this long apology, and then I had to show it to her. I go, I'm going to put this in your mouth. And then she finally went and just took it. But it was crazy. She was mad that I did that. That was funny. You get away with that stuff with geldings, you guys. Geldings don't care. They're just like, what was that? What?
I've got a new girl working in the barn helping us in the mornings. And Raven, I didn't think she was drinking enough water. So anyway, I got a tube of electrolytes. And the lady, the young girl that's working there, she couldn't believe I could just walk up to Raven and she'd ask for it. You know, she's like, I've never seen a horse do that.
Yeah.
She works, her folks have horses. She's a horse girl. But she's,
Yeah.
I've never seen that. And Raven's like, yeah, give it to me. I don't know what it is, but give it to me. It's gonna be good. You know?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Or she's always hungry anyway.
She's always want something. All right. Anyone else? One more person here? It's kind of a tough situation, you know. It's hard. We've all been there, I think, too. All right. Well, we went over a little bit, but that's how it works. We don't care. All right, so we'll leave it up to you. You got your homework for this week. Everybody got that? All right, we'll give it a try. If you have any questions, go ahead and shoot them to me this week. And you guys have a great rest of your day. Nice seeing you. Bye.